Welcome back to the Wrestling in Rumorville. Today is Tuesday, April 20th, 2021, and we're going to get into some wrestling news and some rumors that are going around this Tuesday afternoon. So let's get into the first story right here. You saw the thumbnail. CM Punk responds the challenge to Will Osprey. Let's read this article right here about CM Punk and Will Osprey, the new IWGP champion. So here we go. Former WWE champion CM Punk has responded to recent comments made by IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Will Osprey. As noted, Will Osprey called out Punk earlier this month at an NJPW press conference following his title win. Before I was champion, a man who sparked a whole lot of interest in pro wrestling, CM Punk said he'd like to face Will Osprey, referring to previous comments Punk had made. Now I have the biggest prize in pro wrestling, so if you really want to prove you were the best in the world and not the best of a bad bunch, come here and try to take this. This is pretty big words coming from Will Osprey against CM Punk. In an update, Punk recently spoke with Stephanie Chase of Digital Spy to promote the new Jacob's Way horror movie and gave somewhat hopeful response to the challenge from Osprey, but noted that he does not want to give fans false hope. I don't want to give false hope in answering Osprey, Punk said, but he's for sure somebody that I've never wrestled before that interests me a lot more than, I guess, the corporate side of professional wrestling nowadays. Punk continued and said that let's see if Osprey still has the top NJPW title at the end of the summer, then we can revisit the question. New and different things are going to interest me more than doing the same old. I always need new goals, Punk added. I don't know. Let's see if he has it at the end of the summer, and then you can ask me the question again. All right, so we've heard CM Punk previously say that, yeah, he loves Will Osprey. He says Will Osprey is the best wrestler on the planet right now. He just won that New Japan Heavyweight Championship with the new unified with the Intercontinental, whatever you guys are calling it, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. He's got it. Yeah, this would be an awesome match if Punk can still even go like he used to in the ring. I mean, he's older now. He's been out of the ring for a long time. He hasn't done anything since other than the UFC stuff, which didn't really work out too well for him. This could be a match that they could do in New Japan Pro Wrestling because they can just easily sign him for a one-day thing and a one-shot deal. He doesn't look like he's ever going to go back to WWE in terms of an in-ring. He may do something for a Hall of Fame or something like that. Everything in the end, Vince McMahon works out, holds no grudges when business can be done. We all know that. So how far this goes, who knows? He's had some stuff where he's come out in the past and said things about other guys, and you think he might face this guy, face that guy, face this guy. So I'm still talking about Samoa Joe currently because Samoa Joe just got released by WWE. Could they have a rematch of all their classic matches that they had in Ring of Honor and stuff? I doubt it. I highly do doubt it. This seems like the most likely of all things because it seems like the guy who interests him the most in terms of performing with Will Osprey. He's praised him heavily, and I could see it happening. Will Osprey, obviously, he's trying to make headlines by saying this and calling him out, especially this part right here. Make sure you're the best in the world, not the best of a bad bunch. So he's making headlines. It's smart on Osprey's part. He's the new champ. One of the top guys in the world, so it's smart for him to make this claim and come out with this because he puts his face out there in headlines and people are talking about him versus Punk. So it's big money stuff. If it ever happens, it ever happens. The interesting thing, he says he doesn't want to give people false hope, but then finishes with, ask me at the end of the summer if he still has the championship. So technically he's giving you false hope. All right, so next story we got here. Karrion Kross talks relationship with Scarlett, what to expect from his WWE title run. So he spoke with Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated. His real life, talks about his real life relationship with manager Scarlett. How she took care of him in his recovery. While WWE Medical was treating me the night I got hurt, she was already researching a recovery course I could start immediately the night it happened. She drove me to the pickup of a very specific machine from the Performance Center that helped me ice the injury, and she helped me in the initial stages of rehab later that night. Continued on to say, she asked me if I needed to go to the hospital, and I said no. I need to go to Wendy's and grab a Baconator. Smart man. She's loved my life, and a lot of people don't know we're a couple real life, but we are. She helped me through this entire process psychologically and physically. She helped me with everything. People love to be invincible on television, but no one really is. I was periodically concerned I wouldn't come back in the same shape or how my body would respond to hitting the canvas. She was there for me every step of the way, telling me what I needed to hear and not what I wanted to hear. Kross revealed that he was given 3 options for his recovery from that injury with different timetables for return. 2 would have him sidelined for 6 to 8 months, while the other option would have him on the shelf for 8 to 12. Kross opted out of surgery, but was diligent about his rehab so much that he had full range and strength in 6 weeks. He was medically cleared to return after 4 months. Kross recently captured the the NXT title, from Finn Balor at TakeOver Stand Deliver. You all know that. Going into the match, he felt like he was going to be the best version of himself. Now the Kross character seems set up for success, as there's considerable character development exploration as champion. Cross is preparing for a title run that he plans to make more compelling than any other stretch of his career. He would go on to say, we have a lot in store. I have different layers people haven't seen, ones I've been deliberating saving for the right time and the right moment. There are so many stories to be told, light versus dark, good versus evil, and I'm going to take you there. I have a lot more to prove. Stay tuned. So big words from the new NXT champion, Karrion Kross. I'm a big Karrion Kross guy personally, so I'm a little biased when it comes to this story. I do think he's going to be a solid champion, and if they book him correctly, again, I've always said he's more of a main roster character and more of a main roster look, especially with Scarlett next to him as his manager. Main roster doesn't seem to fit too well in NXT, but we'll see going forward. He's the champion. I do enjoy him very much in ring and on the mic, minus his last week's NXT Tuesday promo, which I thought was very heavily scripted and didn't come off organic as whatsoever. But I do think we're gonna have a solid title run from him. A lot of stories can be told. He's very character based right now in this incarnation of him, so it's very character based, supernatural stuff. The black magic, whatever they're using as part of his gimmick, but he can deliver in the ring as well. So hopefully they don't script his promos too heavily. We can see a solid run from Karrion Kross here. Next story. All right. Released WWE Superstar files for a new trademark. Chelsea Green, former WWE Superstar, just released last week. She's filed a trademark for her own name, Chelsea Green. Super smart on her part. She's put on hats, shirts, socks, bandanas, sweatshirts, and hooded sweatshirts, all that stuff. Super smart on her. But it was really smart for her to do this. She filed the trademark for her own name on April 15th, the same day she was released from her WWE contract along with 9 other superstars. She also filed for to trademark a nickname. So it's super smart on her to try to do this, because if she can get it done, the trademark for the nickname is the Hot Mess. If you remember her TNA Hot Mess character, is good stuff. So hopefully she can get this done. File for the trademark, have her name so she can use it on the independents, really build a name for herself again, or even bigger than she already is, and then eventually she can come back to WWE and use that same name because she has it trademarked already, similar to AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, stuff like that. Very smart move by her, especially doing it immediately after she was released from WWE. Raw. Here we go at Raw. All right, so Monday Night Raw ratings dipped 2 million viewers after 1 week spike. Let's read this story. This week's edition of Monday Night Raw stars viewership decreased from last Monday's episode. According to Showbuzz Daily, the episode drew an average of 1.907 million viewers on the USA Network. This is down from the 2.026 million a week ago. Reason, the big increase was due to the big post WrestleMania 37 episode of Raw. You know how the Manias after Raw goes. Big excitement, even though this time it was terrible and not much happened, so a lot of people were probably disappointed. That's probably why there's a drop in viewership. It's 2 terrible Raws, to be honest with you. Yet last night's episode is horrible episode of Raw, so don't even bother watching. You check out my review, you want to hear how horrible it was, go ahead and watch that. That's in the in the videos, the back catalog. It's just debuted yesterday, so check that out. The reason that it was that episode was that, which made it the highest rated episode since the Legends Night back on January 4th with 2.128. To compare, the April 5th edition did 1.701 million. The 18 to 49 demo, hour 1 was 0.63, then 0.63 in hour 2, so they sustained it. 0.57 in hour 3 dropped. Obviously, third hour is always kind of rough to get through and get to anyways. You can get through 8, 9, but that third hour is just rough. This is the breakdown here. Hour 1, 8 p.m., 2.017 million. Last week was 2.091, so down. Hour 2 at 9 p.m., 1.981 million, down from last week's 2.125 million. Hour 3, the 10 p.m. hour, 1.724 million. Last week's down 1.862. So it's down all across the board. So we'll see how Raw can maybe rebound from this. They had we'll get to this story right here. Charlotte was suspended indefinitely by WWE, fined $100,000 for her actions in the main event last night against Asuka, where she lost and beat down the referee after the match. So she's suspended in storyline and fined $100,000 in storyline. So that's what we got here. She's suspended. We'll see where it ends up and how long she's actually out. I heard that she's currently making a movie. That's what the rumor is. So maybe she's taken off of TV just for that, because she did miss WrestleMania. Now she'll miss a few more weeks of television. Next story. Former WWE superstar announces retirement. Kenny Dykstra of the Spirit Squad has officially announced his retirement from pro wrestling. Real name Ken Doan. He took to Twitter this morning and noted that smart investments have allowed him to retire in his prime, the age of 35. I've decided to retire from in-ring wrestling. When I started at 13, I thought I'd retire at 40, but smart investments over time have allowed me to be done now in my prime, and that will go toward my family and being a father. Thanks to the fans who stuck by me. So shout out to Kenny Dykstra. He was 19 years old when he came in the Spirit Squad, when he beefed with DX and Ric Flair. So, you know, he was very, very young, has been around for a while. He's only 35 years old. You know, so he's able to, he says he's made some solid investments. Hopefully financially he's secure, and shout out to him. Much respect to him for doing that in his private time and making himself financially secure through investments and stuff like that. Hopefully he can continue that and have a solid life down the road. Don originally worked for WWE from 2005 to 2009. Returned for a brief storyline in 2016. Remember that? He and Mike Mondo recently worked for MLW in 2019. One-time WWE Tag Team Champion. So shout out to him. Next story, The Undertaker won a longer WrestleMania match with John Cena. Remember, the Undertaker took out John Cena as a surprise WrestleMania 34. We saw that was really quickly done, and it was pretty much over. Undertaker, while speaking to Victory Over Injury podcast, the Undertaker admitted that he wishes this match against Cena at Mania was longer. He trained hard to get back in the ring, and the match was booked to be over in just a few moves. I was working with Cena over in like 4 or 5 minutes. Undertaker explained. I was like, you got to be kidding me, because I trained harder than I ever had. I trained as hard as it is to get ready for Mania, but I had an extra, and I had to be redeeming myself. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to redeem myself to the point where that WrestleMania 33 was just a flash and a bad memory. The match against Roman, this was his return for that match against Roman. And then we go out in 4 minutes. Vince thought it was hilarious, which I find funny that Vince thought it was hilarious that it just ended that quickly. You know, Vince, you know, maybe put a joke on him. Who knows? But it's funny that was the case, but he wishes it was long. We all wish it was longer. It was a match that should have been advertised. They should have went the way they went about it. That Undertaker wasn't going to show up. And, you know, funny picture right here where he has his face. That's interesting from Undertaker to do that. But yeah, saw a little story there on Undertaker. Wanted that match to be longer, but it wasn't. Undertaker pretty much officially retired right now. All right, last story to get to right here. What happened last night on Monday Night Raw? T-Bar and Mace were unmasked to see Dio Madden and Dominik Dijakovic, who we all knew they were them anyways, but announcing decided to act like it was a surprise. They didn't know who they were and everything like that. Whatever, storyline isn't all that great, but they had stuff to say about being unmasked after the show. So they were in the match against Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre. So they obviously have both guys were unmasked. At the end of the match, which saw, you know, T-Bar and Mace win via DQ, they were interviewed by Shara Schreiber. They were asked what it meant for them to defeat both Strowman and McIntyre, who are two former champions. T-Bar stated that it did everything for them. What's it do for us? That does everything for us. The people want to know who we are and what we're about, where we're going, what we're going to do. Perfect example. What do you think? Mace would go on to add that Drew McIntyre did him a favor and revealed to the world that they are two titans. What does it do for us? We did that. We did that. And as far as I'm concerned, Drew McIntyre, you did me a favor by slapping me across the face with the mask. You revealed to the world exactly what we are. Two titans that will tower over the entire division, over the entire universe. We did that. I mean, that's obviously gested all in storyline. We all know who they were anyways. Hopefully they lose the corny names T-Bar and Mace, because it makes no sense now. But they should have done this last week. They should have done it when Retribution got broken up. Just have them come back and repackage just Dijakovic and Dio Madden. Which Dijakovic I'm a big fan of. You saw his NXT stuff against Keith Lee. Tremendous performer in the ring. Dio Madden, yeah, who knows what he can be. But yeah, hopefully in the end, these guys lose these two terrible names right here, and they go back to Dijakovic, Dio Madden. But they're finally unmasked. We'll see how they, you know, develop going forward. What their new look will be. What will they be alongside Bobby Lashley and MVP? That remains to be seen. But terrible episode of Monday Night Raw. This is the biggest thing coming out of it. These two guys were unmasked, even though we all know who they were. And again, chaps my ass that they keep acting like they don't know who they are. The announcers kind of hate that stuff, but. That's the episode I got for you guys. That's the wrestling news and rumors out there for this Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. Appreciate you guys for tuning. Remember to like, drop a subscribe, hit the subscribe before it hits you back. Let me know in the comment section below, what story did you enjoy the most? How do you feel about CM Punk versus Will Osprey? If that, you think it ever happened, Karrion Kross, WWE champion, and you know, T-Bar and Mace unmasked. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember, if it doesn't work for you, bro, do not do the job.